and education.
Not for war and deportation.
Not for war and deportation.
Money for jobs and education.
Money for jobs and education.
Not for war and deportation.
Not for war and deportation.
Woo! How many of you have heard that healthcare for everyone is impossible? Or that free college for everyone costs too much? Or that there isn't enough money to feed everyone? If that's true, then how are they paying for ICE, for wars in Venezuela, and billions of dollars to Israel for genocide? Shame! If we had control over even a fraction of what they spend on war, we would have health care, housing, and more. The U.S. military budget is $997 billion every year. Shame!
Boo!
$997 billion to send working class kids to die in wars that serve the profits of billion-dollar corporations. Companies like Lockheed Martin, Palantir, and Boeing make billions from these wars, and they fund and lobby both the Republican and Democratic parties. Both parties profit while working class people pay the price. Trump and Elon Musk are not sending their kids, they're sending your kids. I know this because I served 6 years in the National Guard. I've seen how our system targets people in poverty, recruiting them into the military with promises that rarely match reality. Veterans are victims of a poverty draft, trained to risk our lives for billionaires' profits while being sold the lie that it is our only option. Both parties would rather spend billions destroying families abroad than feeding families here. That means we cannot wait for some special savior from either party to save us. It has never worked that way.
My name is Alex Ivins, and I am a disabled combat veteran, and I am proudly anti-war. I joined the military with a genuine desire to serve my country and make the world a better place. Like a lot of my generation, I was very affected by the 9/11 terror attacks. I watched as buildings burned down and innocent civilians died when I was just a child. I was given no true context for these events. It seemed like the whole country agreed on a narrative. Evil men from the Middle East had attacked our country because they hated our freedoms and we had to go to war to be safe. A little over 10 years later, we were still at war, and I was ready to do my part. In all honesty though, I did not have a lot of options. My home life was chaotic and I was not accepted for who I am. My parents made it clear that once I was done with high school, I was out. I had aspirations of an engineering career, but I could not even begin to afford an education. I joined the military with a love of my country, a desperate need for belonging and stability, and little to no understanding of how the world really works. I was exactly the kind of person the military loves to take advantage of. The thing I noticed early on in my career was the overrepresentation of marginalized people in the military, especially in the lower enlisted population. Black women, who make up about 15% of all women in the country, make up almost a third of women in the military. Transgender people are also twice as likely to serve, despite a long history of explicit discrimination and outright bans. The military does not promote diversity because it is woke, and it never has. It is simply exploiting whoever it can. Nearly every single person I know who joined the military either comes from a military family or from poverty. Many service members join because they feel they have no option to advance in life, a phenomenon called the poverty draft. Military service offers stable housing, food, income, and even a college education to people who could never dream of affording all of this otherwise. I completed my degree in aerospace engineering on an ROTC scholarship and became an intelligence officer in the Army Reserve. In 2018, I deployed with Special Operations Command Central as an analyst for a small team of operators. I felt both honored and intimidated. As I worked to prepare for my tour, I immersed myself in the history of the Middle East and the current state of the conflict. The more I looked, the more I could not ignore the role the U.S. has played in the destabilization of the region. For example, I learned that our primary rival in the region at the time, Iran, actually used to be a relatively modern and liberal country. That changed in 1979 when the Iranian Revolution, which was a consequence of the 1953 coup orchestrated by the CIA, leading to the establishment of a militarily anti-American theocratic regime. U.S. interference in Iraq started well before 9/11. In fact, Saddam Hussein was initially backed by the United States in the 1980s when he led Iraq to invade Iran for control of their oil fields. But when Iraq failed that and moved to invade Kuwait, the U.S. bombed Iraq relentlessly, even as they withdrew, destroying their infrastructure and setting back the progress of the entire people. The 9/11 terror attacks that inspired me and so many others to take up arms were, in fact, not provoked as we were led to believe. Osama bin Laden himself was clear. They were retaliation for decades of U.S. interference and attacks in the region. They were horrible and inexcusable, but the United States has racked up countless 9/11s of our own before and since then, destroying entire regions and peoples and ruining or ending the lives of countless U.S. service members and veterans in the process. This cannot continue. The American people are waking up to the true causes and costs of war abroad and at home. I am thankful for my service because it opened up my eyes to the truth of war. Now I believe it is my duty, not just as a veteran, but as a human being, to tell my story and stop another generation from falling for the same lies I did. Anti-war is not anti-veteran. I am against these wars because I am a veteran. My life and the lives of so many veterans have been destroyed by forever wars that have done nothing but make the ultra-rich richer and terrorize an entire region for generations. I am standing here today in the same spirit of service that led me to raise my right hand and fight in a war I did not yet understand. I beg you to stand with me against that war and all needless wars, against foreign intervention, against genocide, for our veterans, for the hardworking people of our country, for the people of the regions that we have decimated, and for the world.
Thank you, Alex. Just want to give a quick announcement. There are people going around petitioning for rent control. Woo! So if you haven't signed up, please do. They have clipboards because we need that. Rent is too expensive. All right. Next up is another local veteran, Ollie Sunderland. Let's give it up for Ollie.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here. We are all incredibly thankful that you have decided to come and take the time to be here and to listen to us. We're going to cut to the chase. We are here because although in Massachusetts we have a lot of benefits for being here, we still struggle with rent. We still struggle with health insurance. We still struggle with people going hungry. Even though as a veteran, I was active duty for a while, one of the struggles that I still see and was brought up multiple times is the fact that those who join tend to be those from poverty. And I think that all of us can agree that that's not fair. We can all agree that we don't want to be continuously sending the poor to war. We don't want to continuously have those very same people, once they leave the service, be dependent on SNAP benefits, being homeless and things of that nature. Those who are in the service also use SNAP benefits. Yep. One of the things I wanted to touch on, while we talk about government programs that are hanging out by a thread, let's talk about Medicaid and Medicare. These cuts are going to close hospitals or expedite their closures. Mercy Hospital announced that they are no longer going to be holding OBGYN services. This is some of the first steps of merging and or closing hospitals. I say that as a warning. With the cuts to Medicaid and Medicare, this will only be made worse. veteran, I can tell you for a fact that we need single-payer health care. Single-payer health care. It is ridiculous that we are unable to get a primary care practitioners without being on a waiting list. If we are able to get one at all, it is ridiculous that we are at the whim of medical executives. Single-payer health care would help to ensure that primary care practitioners are better compensated and helps to ensure that we have to worry about being in network when we go to find one. We need to take control of our healthcare. We must enshrine the right of healthcare for all for the people of the United States. Thank you all for being here. We deeply appreciate it.
All right, next up is Holyoke's Ward 4 Counselor, Rick Purcell from the Green Party. Let's go. Woo!
If you're cold, raise your hand. If you're cold and you want to go home from this, raise your hand. So my story's a long one, but I didn't prepare any words, so I'll just tell you the story. I first came to Holyoke in 1974 from the Tehachapi Indian Reservation in New Mexico. I came on a Greyhound bus when I was 14 years old by myself. My mother was already living here. She went to college with somebody that lives in Granby, Massachusetts. And as soon as I arrived, we moved right to the poorest part of the city because we were poor folk. We went right to the Teffer Apartment projects. That was in '74. I went to Holyoke High School for 11th grade, and then my mother remarried a French Canadian, and we moved to Chicopee. I graduated from Chicopee Comp. 2 years there, and I was in the United States Army. That was in the late 70s, and I stayed until the early 80s. Got out for a while, went back in the late 80s, and got out after Desert Storm. I was a combat medic. My last job was air evacuation. So I seen what war did for mortality, for mentally, and for physically shaping people's lives forever. And I know I'm an elected city council, but I'm just gonna say it. War. Peace is the answer. Justice for peace is the answer. It's as simple as that. War doesn't solve anything. All it does is make it worse. Bob Marley said, none but ourselves can free ourselves. So that's what we have to do. Give peace a chance. Free ourselves. I've been an activist and organizer here in Holyoke for the last 30 years. And I ran for city council a few times against some bad nuts on the city council, and they didn't win. But this last election, we took the MAGA people off the city council, and their recruits that ran against us, we got rid of them too. And what it means for Holyoke, a poor city per capita, is I'm in it to help the marginalized people in this community, because I know I walked in their moccasins. So I know how it feels to be poor. So that's what I'm doing. I'm here to uplift the marginalized community in the city. And we have a super majority now. We flipped the entire fucking city council. And we have a 10-3 majority, so that means we can actually get done. And that's the goal of it all. But there's just one negative thing that I have to say today, and that is, I came out of retirement for this. I want you young people to get active in this. I want you to take this microphone and speak. I want you to be the example, and I want you to do it without having to have experienced war. So you young people, here's your microphone. Here's your baton. I'll say it's your baton. I'm gonna pass this, so then I can go back into retirement. I'm not gonna do it right away. We got some stuff to solve here in Holyoke first. And please keep doing what you're doing, because what you're doing matters. Keep doing what you do. That's the main objective. And I'll say it one more last time as the children. Cover the children's ears, please. War.
next message from our comrade Avir.
Hello everyone, my name is Avir and I'm Palestinian. My family were forced to leave Palestine in the first catastrophe in 1948 by Israel. They were displaced, they lost their house, they lost their lands, they lost everything. They were refugees in Jordan. And I grew up in Jordan. I grew up watching all the pain and suffering my family went through because they left Palestine. My grandfather was crying and holding the key of his house, hoping to go back to his homeland one day. But he passed before he even had the chance to go back. I also lived the time during the Iraq War. I was in the elementary school. I used to hear the siren because of the missiles that were going above us. They were training us in schools, just in case, you know, they have an incident. It was really bad. It was really I was in so much, you know, fear as a child to see this and live this. And I was always questioning myself, why? Like, why the Americans hate us so much? Why the Americans keep killing innocent people? And just watching the news and seeing all these innocent people murdered and killed in Iraq was just so much to take. And right now, as a mother, I know how difficult it is, you know, to lose a child or to lose a loved one. I'm also a leader of faith at my community. I teach Islamic study in the mosque. And I'm also an accountant, work for a non-profit organization where they help homeless people, help veterans who are suffering from all these, you know, the things they go through after they come back. Because I chose to do this. Because in my religion, I have to help people no matter what. I know they killed my people back home, but still, my duty as a Muslim woman, I have to help people. And I know that they were scammed. The veterans were scammed. And these young people, we lose. They go to war and they don't know what to expect, and they go through so many things. Islam means surrender, submission. Islam means peace. Islam doesn't have hate. Islam, you don't even see it hate in Islam. In Islam, whoever kills a soul, it is as he killed all humanity. And whoever saves a soul, it is as if he saved all humanity. That's what we stand for as Muslims. We don't hate. So all these propaganda, all these lies about Muslims are not true. Where I live, there's so many refugees. so many Iraqi people, Syrian, who left their homes because of the war, because they ran for safety, because maybe they don't have home at all right now after the war. And many of them were traumatized from the war. They have mental issues and maybe disabled. So what Trump is doing now, cutting snaps, that will affect my community, affect them so much. And we don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen to my community, those refugees who already lost so much. And by cutting SNAP, it will affect them so much. So we have to stand with them. We have to help them. Does any one of you believes that Maureen Healy can help them?
No!
Does anyone believe that Ed Markey can help them?
No!
Or Congressman Richard Neal can help them?
No!
No. So we should stand together to stop this, to help them, to help our community. And I want you to do your part and join any party for peace. Join PSL. Vote for Joe Tashi. I hope I pronounced his last name correctly. And
Joe Tosh for Senate!
yes, he's running for senator. So please vote for him or sign up. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. No justice, no peace!
No ice on our streets!
No eyes on the streets!
No hate, no fear!
No hate, no fear!
ICE has no business here!
ICE has no business here!
No hate, no fear!
No hate, no fear!
ICE has no business here!
ICE has no business here!
We will win if we fight!
We will win if we fight!
Housing's a human right!
Housing's a human right!
We will win if we fight!
We will win if we fight!
Healthcare is a human right!
Healthcare is a human right!
We will win if we fight!
We will win if we fight!
Food is a human right!
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 Hey, hey! Ho, ho! These SNAP cuts have got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! These SNAP cuts have got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! These SNAP cuts have... Woo! Okay. Next up, we're going to hear from a member of Veterans for Peace, Donovan Lee. Woo!
My name's Donovan, and I fell for the bait. I fell for it when the recruiter acted like I was cool and told me they'd take care of me. I skipped a day of high school to join the U.S. Army, got trained in modern military combat, and was deployed to Jordan to train Jordanian soldiers, many of whom were conscripts, to fight and die in U.S. forever wars. As much as we talk about how all of these resources we use to kill people overseas can be used to help people over here, we also should be talking... Sorry, I'm choked up by everything I've heard so far. I just want to say I was deployed to the Middle East to train Jordanian soldiers, a lot of whom went to fight the U.S. Forever War in Syria and never came back. And all these resources we can use to take care of people here can also just not be destroying people overseas, even people that are supposedly our allies. When we were deployed to Jordan training these Jordanian soldiers, one day we came back from training and were locked out of the water. That's because Jordanian soldiers had been drinking the water, and that wasn't okay, even though they were supposedly our allies. So they locked everybody out of the water. That's just how the US imperialism looks at everyone. If you're not, making them money, you don't get anything. You don't even get the water that you need to survive. So we need to bring those resources home to take care of people here, and we also need to send those resources back out to heal the wounds that we've caused overseas. We also need to give land back to the indigenous people of Turtle Island, who are the proper stewards of this land, and pay reparations to all the people that have been destroyed or hurt or had their ancestors destroyed or hurt or their culture taken away from them by U.S. colonial imperialism. Thank you.
Thank you, Donovan. That was beautiful. Whew. Let's just sit with that for a second. Next up, we are going to hear from a Springfield Education Association member. Where are you? Oh, right here. Ramsey Curdy, who was also a teacher in my high school when I went to high school.
I don't know what I did wrong. Anyway, so today when we honor the veterans of our armed forces, it's the best day to be anti-fascist. My name is Ramsey Curdy. I've been a high school teacher for the past 27 years, about half of those in Springfield, Massachusetts. I am a founding member of the Massachusetts Teachers Association Rank and File for Palestine and an organizer for the National Education Association's Arab American Caucus. While that advocacy is important, my remarks today are made entirely as an individual. I have to say that a lot. Our armed forces are the best set of tools in the world. But throughout my adult life, I've never been able to vote for those who want to care for those tools the way I do. I will no longer vote to lend my tools to those who only want to preserve the status quo and their own power up to and including genocide. No, I did not vote for Kamala. This idea that our nation's might makes absolute right is destructive, both to our nation and to the world. Here are just a few things for us to consider. For the past several years, a decade actually, federal military spending has been about half of the annual discretionary budget. I'm going to repeat that. Half of all of the money that our legislator in D.C. has voted to appropriate has gone towards military funding. In 2024, our military spending was 37%. Let's start the thing again. In 2024, our military spending was 37% of military spending worldwide. In 2022, black service members made up 20% of the U.S. Army, yet we're only 14% of the population. For whatever reason, this type of disparity is actually an openly stated goal of the U.S. Army. To sustain this, JROTC programs are disproportionately located in lower income communities. In many of these communities, students are either required to enroll in JROTC or are otherwise pushed into these programs by having them count as physical education, for example. Now, as a teacher, being a little flexible with education is okay. But not when you also can't count an after-school sport as physical education. Never mind the many kids I've taught over the years who don't have time to do anything after school because they have to work a grueling number of hours daily. We should have a military that is representative of our entire country, but it is immoral to take advantage of young people who have fewer economic and educational opportunities. Those of us who have taught know that every student needs a place where they feel they can belong, where they can build a culture and community. But to uphold, or even worse, to mandate the building of a strong military culture inside a set of under-resourced schools is unconscionable. This type of cultural conditioning certainly builds love for a country, but we should all be able to love our country as adults, not as children blissfully unaware of the terrible choices that are often made on our behalf. We sometimes hear stories about high school robotics clubs that build chairs and appendages for people who need them. We can and should praise those young people who solve personal disasters that the moneyed class has created. But when it comes to the young people here today, we almost never praise them for looking past the short term and throwing themselves at the actual problem. Money and power concentrated to a point where the rest of us become facilitators or enablers or simply survivors of this terror. I didn't understand any of this until I was 50. And it's been a few years since then, but I'm trying to make up for some lost time. The young people here today already get it, and you all live it. That's why you are among my heroes. You know what's needed now to right the many wrongs. As the late, great Congressman John Lewis actually said, get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and redeem the soul of America. Thank you.
Money for jobs and education!
Money for jobs and education!
Not for war and deportation!
Not for war and deportation!
Money for jobs and education!
Money for jobs and education!
Not for war and occupation!
Not for war and occupation!
Money for jobs and education!
Money for jobs and education!
Not for war and deportation!
Not for war and deportation!
Money for jobs and education!
Money for jobs and education!
Not for war and occupation!
Not for war and occupation!
Woo! Okay, now we're gonna hear from a couple neighbor-to-neighbor folks who are going to talk a little bit about some food resources amidst these tragic snap cuts. Yeah, give it up for neighbor-to-neighbor.
Hi everyone! Thank you for braving this cold and showing up for peace, not war. My name is Jeanette, or Jay, with Neighbor to Neighbor. You've already met the lovely Rick and Gloria here, who will speak soon. So Neighbor to Neighbor, we have a chapter here in Holyoke. We also believe in people over profits, right? Not funding these wars. And today we're gathered here because we believe in community over conflict. We believe a future is rooted in compassion, not destruction. We're here to say that we value life, we value dignity, and we value peace. My people are known to be warrior people, but I don't mean that in the way that one thinks often now when we say warrior. One that wages war and violence, right? No, I mean one who wages peace. One who fights for community, not conquest. One who stands up through love, not bombs. Who defends dignity, not destroys it. Those are the warriors we need to bring back today. Those are you all. So let's talk about resources. It was mentioned a little bit earlier, how much we spend in the United States to fund war. It's ridiculous, ridiculous. 30% of all of our funding, for defense. So it's a shame, it really is. And if only we use a fraction of that money and redirected it towards our communities instead of towards endless perpetual war, we could solve world hunger. 4%.
Imagine that.
4%. and people would have food in their bellies. That means better health, right? So helping with their healthcare access. It's ridiculous. So at a time right now when our neighbors and friends are struggling for access of food, SNAP cuts just came back, but not for everyone, and they barely cover the food they need for their families. So here in our community, we are doing food drives, and this is a direct ask for everyone here. Even if you're not from Holyoke, I'm sure you have a drive locally to donate to your food banks. And when I say food banks, like local, hyper local food banks. We are collecting donations for Margaret's pantry here. We're doing a sopa sábado this Saturday at Gran Cocina. We're serving warm soup out for community members. So if you want to come out, stand out, hold your signs out there, promote it, help deliver soup to our neighbors here out in the streets who may not know that we're offering this.
112 High Street.
112 High Street, right up the street. Saturday. You can come, show up at noon, and support these efforts.
Just got a brand new kitchen, soup down.
And so Gran Cocina is a community kitchen. It's something we also invested in as neighbor to neighbor to help bring meals to the community, help to educate folks, provide a space where folks could cook, which is a love language for a lot of Holyokers here, and bring that love into the community in the way they know best. So I just wanted to name those names as actions. I'm sorry if someone already mentioned the Luce hotline. I always got to plug that as well. There's cards here if you need them for yourself and your neighbors. Please grab them. They're there for you because we also believe that there's no discrimination of your status. A neighbor is a neighbor. You deserve to be here. You deserve to have health care. You deserve to have housing. And you deserve to have dignity. And every one of you I know knows this. So thank you. Thank you. And and I'm going to pass it on to my camarada, Gloria.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out in this, cold day. But it's cold for us. It's been hot for countries out there that have been enduring bombing and dismembering. We only talk about the children, but we should talk about men and women getting bombed and all their infrastructure getting bombed. Thank you so much, veteran, for always being, the front run, saying these wars are racist wars. These wars are racist wars, these wars are class wars, and these are not wars that are bringing anything for us. To the contrary, they are defunding us. And we should defund the Pentagon. We should defund all those, military bases that are almost 100 military bases out there. We should defund Big Pharma, Big Tech, and the military industrial complex, which are leaving us hungry and homeless and without faith. This is the kind of education that we should all, keep in mind, and that is why it's good that we help as neighbors. Yes, let us help each other. But it's good that people get that political education to see this country is gone very wrong right from its insertion, and that the indigenous people have been fighting terrorism since 1492, and that black people have been fighting terrorism since they came here, and that everybody has been fighting system of oppression one way or the other, however your color or your social class or your greed. So this is a moment to continue the fight for our food, for our schools, for our housing, for our dignity as human beings. And as a Holyoke resident, I do encourage everyone to just come out here and see how you really live diversity. These words of inclusion, diversity, and equity are empty words if you don't live here, if you don't come here, if you don't visit our restaurants, and if you don't get fed up with the food, with the loud music. Otherwise, you're just empty words. If you don't share your resources on the platform, if you don't share all that you have, so that we can all in one platform say no more. And I'm tired, as I said somewhere else, I'm tired of the word to resist. Let us organize and mobilize and let us unite. Martin Luther King got killed because he wanted to organize that march of the poor. And it's march of all of us, working class people. However, if you go to work, you're a working class people. Even if you're a doctor, an architect, you're working class. Let us unite among class. And let us say no more exploitation, and no more being complicit with the system of oppression that is oppressing all of us and around the world. Trump is talking about just going to Nigeria and perhaps bombing them, and we are tired and fed up with just killing people in Africa, in Asia, in South America, in the Caribbean, and all for resources. We should be self-sufficient, and that this is the richest country in the world, and shame of our governments, all of them, shame on our governments, because we have veterans that are homeless, we have veterans that have no food, veterans that are panhandling, and we have families that are still suffering. So as neighbors, as human beings, as sacred creations, let us get together and let us continue our fight. Let us continue our fight and let us unite. Thank you.
I got a list of places for our non-perishable food. It's going to last through the winter. It's in all the Holyoke public schools, enrollment offices and the schools, Kelly and Ian White, Holyoke Senior Center, the Dowd agencies, Enlace de Familias, El Centro Holyoke, Community College, the Lighthouse Holyoke, Brennan's Place right down the street, Camilla's right down the street, De Todo Un Poco, Deja Vu Nightclub, Jebaritos, Mambo's Cafe, Ivelisse Hair Salon, V-Care, One Holyoke, Mass Hire, Rodriguez Kempo, and Dino's Pizza. These are all the places you can go with your non-perishable.
What was it? And the buses are collecting? Okay, so throughout the month of November, the buses are also collecting foods. Also at Nueva Esperanza, our office, we're collecting foods. And this particular food drive is something that hasn't just happened because of this recent cuts. This is a year-long school endeavor. Every Friday, food insecurity hits families, and so these backpacks are made every Friday throughout the school year for the past couple years. So, but because of the demand, there are over 300 families who need to be served every Friday. So this food drive and others, please support, and thank you, thank you, thank you.
Show me what community looks like!
Show me what community looks like!
This is what community looks like!
This is what community looks like!
Show me what community looks like!
Show me what community looks like!
This is 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 how community looks like!
Woo! All right, we're gonna hear from one last person who's also a veteran and a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, Ariel. Woo!
Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today in this brick cold. I know it's really not easy to be out here, so I really appreciate the extra sacrifice that you all are making, stepping up, being here for your community. I want to take some time to reflect on what we came here for today. We're here under the banner of Vets Say No. This is powerful, right? People who have signed up to do the dirty work of our government and these American multinational corporations are speaking up and saying, actually, all that did was teach me that we are on the wrong side of history. That is a powerful moment, and I want to just say a special thank you to all of our speakers who were vulnerable and shared their stories today, all the veterans and non-veterans who shared their story today. Your words were really, truly felt. I want to share a little bit. I am also a veteran. I'm a veteran who was honorably discharged after 11 months. And my story is a little bit shorter and a little bit more straightforward than a lot of other veteran experiences, but it still paints a picture about this system. I was kicked out of my parents' home. Similar to a veteran who spoke earlier, my parents were pretty adamant. You turn 18, you're not my responsibility anymore. And I have a lifestyle and I have an identity that they are completely opposed to, don't want anything to do with. And so I had no choice. I was homeless while waiting to get shipped to basic training. And that made it pretty hard to integrate and settle into the culture of military life, right? Imagine you're a kid, you're just kicked out, you don't even know if you have a family anymore, and now you're in the military. Things really aren't going according to plan. I only signed up because I didn't have a way to pay for school. Like a lot of people have mentioned, they rely on people not having a way to pay for school. I did not have a good time. I had a mental health crisis. Ultimately, from a production standpoint, because that's what the military is, I was a liability. After an attempt on my own life, I was honorably discharged, so-called honorably, and homeless again. They did nothing to take care of me. I had no family to go back to. And I am one person of 3 people who I know who have the same story. They didn't even get to their unit. They got out of the advanced training unit to being homeless. These are people who weren't even deployed. Imagine the trauma of being completely used and disposed of by this system. Obviously, we're all seeing the same thing and we're all tired of it. So why are we out here today? We're out here because we're taking this and we're putting it in our hands. We understand that nothing has ever been accomplished without working people taking to the streets and shutting the system down. Food stamps were not a gift. They were not a gift from benevolent politicians. And we can't sit around and wait for gifts because they're not coming. That's right. We got EBT. We got food stamps because in the 30s, unemployed workers, mothers, veterans, and hungry families occupied government offices, shut down the street, shut down the economy. And that is how we got the first poverty relief programs in the United States during the Great Depression. And we're coming here today not to beg, but to organize. We are being pushed to the edge today, just like working people were during the Great Depression and all throughout the history of this country. Workers in the past organized, they took up space, and through collective action, they won emergency food stamps, but we want even more than that. So we have a lot of work to do. We need to come together and we need to practice. We need to practice discipline and organization. And that's what we're doing right here, right now. Today really isn't just a rally. Today we're practicing moving together. Meet someone new. Get a new contact. Follow up. By moving together, we're showing the system that we're not going to stay quiet while they starve us. They're going to bomb the world and expect us to stay quiet? The Party for Socialism and Liberation is here because we know the system itself is broken. We see it every day. Wars paid for with our taxes while people go hungry. Billion-dollar corporations getting bailed out. With what money? Why isn't it going into school, healthcare, housing? A planet that is literally overheating because the rich puts profit over people. It's messy, it's inhumane, and it's not gonna fix itself. And this is the important thing, is that it's not gonna fix itself. So that's where we come in. We need to build the new system. We can't fix the old system. We build the new system from the ground up. We can start small. We can start by building a tenant union. We can stand up to ICE. We can volunteer at a community garden.
Yeah. You got one.
That is how we win, right? For fighting for each other, right? That is how we win. That is how we build something better. We don't need billionaires. We don't need politicians to save us. And that's power, and that's what today is about, building power. So don't be fooled, right? The Democratic Party is not a real opposition to the Republican Party.
Oligarchs.
Their so-called solutions protect billionaires. They protect oligarchs. They protect corporations. They protect capitalism.
Pluralism.
The military goes into the global south, in countries in Africa, in Latin America, and the military plunders and exploits the land in a brutal way. But in a sneaky and in a clever way, American multinational corporations are right behind them, waiting to set up shop and waiting to capitalize on the violence of this empire. So if we want to stand a chance, what we need is to organize at the pace of the Republican and the Democratic Party, using even more tools than they are. We need to build on and off the ballot. We need a party that is building on and off the ballot. We need a working class revolutionary party that is doing more than running candidates and lobbying to corporations. All of the weapons manufacturers, all of the Silicon Valley corporations that lobby to the Republican Party also lobby to the Democratic nominees. These are not our representatives. That is what we are building. We are building the alternative party. That is what the Party for Socialism and Liberation is. We are fighting both on the ballot and off of it. We are trying our hardest to position ourselves in our communities where we are from, to link ourselves with the on-the-ground efforts, the unions, workplace unions and tenant unions. We want you, union people, to hold this party accountable. That is the type of party we are building. While the Democrats are held accountable by corporations, PSL wants to be held accountable by union reps in the labor movement, in the movement for rent control that we're seeing. We want to be held accountable by anti-imperialist organizations. You are who we want to be held accountable to. And that is why you must be held accountable to yourself. Join an organization. Consolidate your energy into something that is bigger than you. Because this is not about any of us as individuals. And we really do need to lean on each other. If you want to stay in the fight with us, I'm pitching you a really easy start. At the PSL, we are building an action network. This is a tool for people who want to learn more about this alternative and support it. This party is a working class party that is calling on you to participate in building the future of our country. And you can get involved right now, accessing webinars that are responding in real time to current events, to hear the orientation and analysis of our party's working class leaders. Leaders who are entrenched in the struggle, who are union reps, who are leaders in the Palestinian youth movement, other anti-imperialist organization, right? We run candidates like Claudia de la Cruz, who are longtime union leaders who are uplifted by their communities. You can hear our leadership, and you can join the party and be developed as a leader in your community under a unified platform, under a concrete political program. The PSL Action Network is a way to stay connected, to learn, and to act. You'll get materials mailed to your door, physical materials that keep you up to date on our campaign and why these initiatives are in touch with the current political moment. So not only will you get access to education, but you will be mailed outreach material that you can use to flexibly participate in spreading the word. You'll also, like I mentioned, get access to webinars where you'll have access to education and meet organizers and people just like you across the country who are looking to get more serious about being involved in the democratic process of building a revolutionary party. You can find the sign-up information right here. There's a QR link on the table. And we don't have the money as a revolutionary party that is not lobbied and bankrolled by blood. We don't have the money to run fancy operations with sponsorships and get the same level of promotion and advertising as the Democratic and Republican Party. And that's okay. Because if we work together to pool our resources, we can still win. At the end of the day, it's our labor that keeps this world going. It's our labor that keeps this system running. And that is more valuable than any amount of money that they can throw at their campaigns. So the PSL Action Network is a monthly contribution of whatever you can pay. Anything that you can give will give you access to what I just said. This is a working class organization and there really shouldn't be any barrier to entry, and we really believe that. So anything that you can give, you can sign on and stay in the loop, right? Get real-time updates on what we're doing all around the country. For example, right now, veterans are speaking up all around the country at Vet Say No actions. Right now, just like us. It's happening in Boston, it's happening in Memphis, it's happening in Chicago, LA. And PSL is there. And we can move all united as one on the same page. And so that's what we're inviting you in, to be a part of this movement that is building a concrete alternative with an economic and political plan that is fully elaborated, and you can be a part of understanding, learning, and advocating for socialism. Because we understand that capitalism has come to its logical failure many, many years ago. So I just want to once again reiterate, thank you to everyone who made this possible, everyone who spoke, everyone who stood here out in the cold. This would not have been possible without you, so thank you very much. Free Palestine! Free Holyoke! Thank you and have a blessed day.